Hey, Foot Geeks fans, it's CJ here with Cody from Baseline Health and Wellness, and today we want to talk about Pes Cavus feet once again. What exactly is a Pes Cavus foot?
So Pes Cavus is basically a high arch foot. It's just a scientific term for it.
Yeah.
Opposite of Pes planus, which is a flat foot. That's what we're talking about today.
That's what we're talking about. And there's a bunch of questions that came in. And number one, is it hereditary?
So in terms of it, I think we usually say it's a learned pattern and it's brought in. So yes, there could be some hereditary factors to it where your foot joints, your structure of how your foot has developed from your parents. It could be just learning the pattern of how your parents have walked has changed how you've done everything.
And in that way, also what we find a lot of times with a Pes Cavus foot is actually a stiffer foot as well, right? So it tends to be less mobility in general. It doesn't have very good shock absorbing ability either. So what happens there is that when you're walking, you come down like really with a hard kind of pound on the heel, and requires usually a lot more shock absorption in the footwear in order for you to take stress off your ankle, knee, and hip joints. And that's usually something that we see in our Pedorthist facilities. But other than that, with regards to Pes planus, is this something that you have to worry about it being like a disease or anything like that?
I wouldn't consider it necessarily a disease, more of a finding. I think you're going to have people who have flatter feet, which are typically more mobile. And then you have people with higher arches, Pes Cavus, which then are typically more stiff. And so as you said before, the shock absorption areas of your foot are a lot less, and therefore you're taking that force into other places of your body. So oftentimes you get, stiffer muscles because they're compensating. You get tightness in different areas, and sometimes some other areas of the body are starting to have pain because just from the ground up, things aren't moving well.
Makes perfect sense. And I think also based on research, there's only about 10% of the population that actually has Pes Cavus feet. Most people fall more into the normal average foot to obviously the flat foot type of phenomenon. And that's where, you see most individuals having those types of issues. And those individuals usually need more strengthening, whereas I find Pes Cavus feet will require more stretching in order for them to, have a more comfortable bodily environment, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I think from a standpoint of both anecdotal, but also some books have said Pes Cavus actually may come from more of a Northern European standpoint. I don't know from your side if you've seen that, but I've seen, for example, Asian communities and everything seem to have more flat feet.
Yeah.
And Northern European are the ones that I've seen with some of this Pes Cavus that comes in.
Do you think it's kind of like a Roman foot, Greek foot?
I guess it's just kind of where the areas they came through, and maybe it's just over time of depending on if they needed to use footwear to get through, harsh winters, or are they in balmy weather and then they don't need shoes. And I think things may have changed in terms of patterning, what they're wearing, what they're using it for, and just things in general.
Makes sense. If you're using shoes, naturally you'll be having more cushioning on the footwear.
Exactly.
Which means that you don't really have to have the foot do all that work for you, right? Plus, you may be not moving it as much because if you're walking through like uneven surfaces like sand, or if you're trying to climb trees, then you have to really have good foot mobility in order for you to be able to hold on to some of those things, right?
And dexterity.
So, that's not necessarily research-based evidence, but it's just kind of
observative.
Let's start a conversation here, right? Let's see what else you have to comment below as to what you think is maybe causing Pes Cavus. And keep in mind that Pes Cavus stands for foot with a kind of a cave underneath, right? So cavus is basically a cave, and then pes is just a foot. So it's not it's just a Latin term to describe your type of foot.
Yep, for sure.
Anyway, any questions, comments, please post those below. And if you haven't subscribed to us yet on YouTube, do so right over that way. Have an amazing day.
See ya.